Hey, it is Friday. Hope everybody's had a great week and talking about a very, very important topic today. And just on the back of, we had our Empowered Women's group last night in Wagga, and it was a fabulous night. We had between probably 25, 30 women there, which was fabulous. We had the amazing Beck Layton speak from Yoga with Beck, and it was just fabulous. Hey, Audrey, great to have you on, darling. Hey, Alicia, lovely to see you. So it was so beautiful because Beck was very real and raw in her vulnerability and in her story, and it really I guess brought back like a couple of points for me as well. Hey Kate, hey Sandra, hey Paul, lovely to have all you guys on. Just in terms of how at times in life that inner critic can really get the best of us, and be so difficult to live with, and it really does impact personal happiness, stress levels. I know for me, like when I get in my drill sergeant mode or my inner critic, hey Lisa, great to have you on, hun. Any of that stuff, like that negative voice that we often hear in our heads that's criticizing us or shaming us, or telling us how we're failed or how we're wrong or how we're bad or how we're not enough. And I really wanted to share this because I think so many women really resonated with Beck's story last night, and the vulnerability around all of that. And for many of you, you may have heard my story in the past, but from 13 through to about 19, I massively struggled. I was very depressed within myself. I would have massive highs, but also some pretty big lows as well. And I really I struggled with just being a teenager, with trying to fit in, with pressure that I felt or expectations that I felt from everybody around me, but more so than anything was my own inner self-talk about how I perceived my body. I was very caught up in my body image at the time, and for me as a teenage girl, it was everything. I really believe that it totally was related to my ability to be loved by a boy or loved by a man, certainly probably a boy at that point in my life, but it really created this ongoing story in my mind that I was fat and ugly. And it wasn't until I reached the age of 32 where I really started to understand this at a deeper level. But it really impacted, I guess, like the quality of the relationships that I had attracted into my life, how I allowed myself to be treated at times, and the overgiving that actually came from feeling so unworthy in myself. And I know probably like a lot of women can actually relate to that, where you just feel like you've got to constantly be giving, and if the bucket's empty. And I had no clue on how to actually learn how to love myself, and it's one of those really tricky things. Hey Tracy, hey Nini, lovely to have you guys on. It's one of those tricky things that really can like I said, just totally annihilate any form of happiness, but it's also where some of the upper limits can start to kick in as well. So I want to talk about a couple of different ideas with this. So how to decipher between your real self, like your real authentic self, and the inner critic or the other aspects of you. I don't know about you guys, but I have multiple voices in my head. Might sound a bit crazy, but I think, you'll pretty much resonate. Nobody likes to say that out loud, right? It's like, we all feel a bit crazy at times, but we have all these different inner aspects of ourselves which are pro-survival. And by that I mean your inner critic is actually trying to help you. I know it doesn't feel like that. I know it feels like you probably go in and you're 10 rounds in the ring with your inner critic and you feel pretty beaten up by it, but it is actually pro-survival, because when we're a child from 0 to 7, we're taking in the world. We're trying to figure out who it is that we need to be in order to be loved. Now, whilst we're doing that, our deepest fear as a human is, number one, I'm not enough. So we'll be looking for all the ways that we need to try and be enough. And we're looking for cues from our parents. We're looking for feedback. And this is where we become very externally validated rather than internally validated. Now, external validation is all about what's the feedback I'm getting from everybody else. And now I need to adjust my behavior in order to match or to meet their standard or to meet their expectation or to get their approval or to get their love. Now, we are hardwired for love and connection as humans because our very survival depends on this. Hey, Erica, lovely to have you on. Hey, Rosie. Hey, Christy. Lovely to see you guys. So this is really, tricky, because immediately we're kind of already caught in this inner conflict. Like, as soon as we become consciously aware, or not even consciously aware, but we start to get caught between, oh my God, I can't be too loud, or I can't be too noisy, or I can't speak up for myself, or it's not safe to say that, or it's not safe to rock the boat, or it's not safe to speak out loud. Sorry, I'm just gonna flick my connection here, because I feel like that is, hopefully it's still working. Hey Dan, lovely to have you on. So this is where, like, we start to create like a false self or a false identity, or these different aspects of self that's like, oh, I've got to be quiet, or I can't be too much of this, or I can't be too much of that, or I can't rock the boat, or I can't be. So we're already starting to try and define ourselves, but we've got this like free inner spirit internally that's just like, oh my God, I just want to live life. I just want to be me. And I think from a human level, from like working with over 1,600 people over the years, what I've really ascertained is everybody wants just to have the freedom to feel that they can be themselves, to be able to express themselves. Now, what happens is when we're so hooked in to that external validation, because we don't know, or we haven't learned how to internally validate ourselves, so how to discern the feedback and go, that's helpful feedback, or you know what, I think they're actually just having a really bad day, and I'm actually not going to take that personally at all. So and if you guys have got any questions around this too, please feel free to jump in and ask me anything as well. I'm more than happy to kind of answer any questions as we go along, because this is such an important thing, and it's what I think that we all internally struggle with from time to time. I know for me, feeling that authentic frequency and feeling like my real self, like I could be like feeling that high vibing, feeling absolutely amazing, and it might only take one thing, and then it's like an old identity or an old aspect of me, so a part of me that was trying to protect me, keep me safe, keep me fitting in, then kind of gets a bit anxious or a little bit worried, and then I start to over identify with that aspect and believe that that aspect is me. So when you hear this inner critic, when you hear these inner voices of you're not good enough, or oh my God, I'm gonna fail, or they're gonna laugh at me, or I'm an outcast, or nobody likes me, like there's so many different versions of this, and everybody experiences this on different levels, and everybody has these super deep fears. Hey Chris, lovely to have you on. But if we really believe those thoughts, it's going to create so much human suffering. And this is why I love the Byron Katie work. It's so powerful, because when you are able to question your thoughts, what it does is it strips away the concepts of the mind that are actually keeping you stuck. And quite often with these rules of regulations, these have happened very unconsciously. Up until age 7, we do not have any conscious awareness. We don't have an analytical mind to be able to filter the information that we're receiving. We're not actually critically thinking and going, oh, now is that actually how I'd like to live my life? Or it's all going in, and it's very hypnotic. So it all goes in as deep subconscious, unconscious programming. Hey Britt, great to have you on, Dom. And it really, it starts to play out then in our life, in who we believe that we actually need to be. And we believe that that is us. So it's an ongoing journey. It's been like a 10-year journey, or probably even longer. I started self-development when I was about 17. I think that was when I bought my first Tony Robbins book, which was Unlimited Power. And if any of you guys have ever read that, it's about that thick, and it was pretty meaty for my first one. I think I got about halfway through. I've since gone on to really understand a lot about Tony's teachings. I've done loads of Tony's courses, and done his coach training as well. And it's fabulous to be able to understand things at a deeper level and kind of what's going on. But like starting to do self-inquiry, and this was one of the things that Beck spoke about last night. Hey Marguerite, great to have you on, darling. Is that being able to self-inquire and, is this really resourceful? Is this actually really me? Because that's the trickiest part, is when we're fully in the triggered state, or we're fully in that particular aspect. So for me, I have a very, very anxious inner child, like really anxious. I was super sensitive as a kid, and my mum, really struggled with a lot of my moods or my emotions, simply because I didn't even figure out until I was 23 that half the stuff that I was feeling actually wasn't even mine. I would just feel really confused because I'd be feeling all of these different feelings. And for any of you that are particularly sensitive, I'm sure that you can probably relate to that. And it is very confusing. And even if you're not sensitive, on some level, you'll be feeling these subtle influences from others. And it's like, how we feel safe or how we don't feel safe. And so we set up all of these protection mechanisms that at one point in our life would have served us and would have kept us safe, but at another point in our life, perhaps those aspects are no longer resourceful. And so we can put ourselves pretty much in this limited box where we're feeling unsafe to actually go and live our life. It's, at a high intense level, that's I think it's an agoraphobic, that it is so scared to actually get outside and actually to live life. But where are you actually holding yourself back? Where are you scared about showing up? I know for me, being seen, which sounds crazy. I know I'm obviously on a live video and interacting with you guys. Hey Carly, great to have you on. Hey Steve. But for me personally, like being seen was terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. And late last year, I set myself a goal of actually doing a physique comp because I knew the rubbish and the beliefs and the fears that I would actually have to move through in order to overcome that fear to get on stage. And I'm still actually moving through some of that. But it's so great to actually set ourselves these adventures or these challenges where we can really step into growth and just keep unraveling like all of these beautiful layers so that you can really tap into and experience more of the real you, because the real you is absolute love. It's not fearful, it's not anxious, it's not scared, it's not feeling like it's unworthy or it's not enough. It's not feeling any of those things, and it is definitely the hardest part. I definitely agree with you, Erica, because you can be deeply immersed in it before you have the conscious awareness. This actually isn't the real me. This is just an aspect of myself that's feeling scared or worried. Now I start to name my parts. So like I said, I have a very anxious inner child. I also have a super playful inner child. When that anxiety, when I've taken the time to get to know my inner child and understand why she's feeling anxious or what she's feeling scared about, and she feels listened to, she feels loved by me as the adult. So now I'm stepping into that role, and I have beautiful, my mum's now passed, but I have beautiful parents. I had an amazing childhood. I was very, very blessed, and yet I still had all of these beliefs that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't worthy, because it's the voice inside our head that's actually talking to us. And we all have a story around this, guys. Like I used to have people come up, pinch my cheeks constantly and say, oh my God, she's got such chubby cheeks. And so all of that was super hypnotic. I'm too chubby was my story. I'm too fat. It was always about, I'm too chubby. I never felt like really overweight, but I always felt that I was too chubby, because literally it was deeply cemented in. And so I created a wound around that. I created a story around that I was too chubby and therefore I wasn't enough, because then I wasn't lovable. And I can say that obviously with candor now. However, some of the work that I had to do around that was super painful, like loads and loads of tissues and just deep inquiry around, I'm too fat. How do I feel when I believe that thought? Oh my God, I'm devastated. I feel horrible. And, that might sound a little bit vain, but like it could be something, I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm too weak. I'm too emotional. That was another one of mine, because I felt really that I was way too emotional as well. And it is really difficult sometimes because we've grown up with these aspects, we've grown up with these identities, and the pain comes when we believe that it's the real us. It's actually not the real us. Now, how to identify, and I love this. It was something Mandy Morris taught in one of her free trainings that she was running, and I kind of jumped on, and it was just one little gold nugget that I got from it, and it was find your authentic frequency. And now that might sound weird to say that, but it's like every single emotion that you experience will have a certain frequency, will have a certain vibration, and this is how we start to attract into our life. I'm not going to go into quantum physics or anything now because that's another topic and another conversation. However, everything that you're feeling, everything that you're experiencing in life is the sum total of the emotional resonance that you've felt your entire life. Now you get to switch that, you get to change that in any moment through conscious awareness and through shifting or letting go of some of those limiting beliefs or painful beliefs that you've held about yourself, which is the inner critic going, you're not worthy enough, you're not enough, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, or I shouldn't rock the boat, or I shouldn't speak up, or I shouldn't be to anything. Put in there, insert in there whatever it is for you personally. Hey Kat, great to have you on. And being able to literally, and it is that turning around in the mind, like Erica said, and being able to rewire the immediate reaction. Now for me, initially, like I wasn't even consciously aware that I was like beating up on myself as a mum, but my kids would come home, and if I hadn't been loving myself that day, if they'd had a bad day at school, I would emotionally react and be like, oh my God, they hate me, I'm a bad mum, I'm failing, I'm a terrible parent, they don't love me, now I'm feeling rejected. And most of us have a deep fear of being rejected or abandoned, and that's why these other aspects play out, to try and be the people pleaser or be the good girl or get the results that other people expect us to, or to be living within this certain framework of what we, and so many of these messages are like deeply ingrained generationally, but also very subtly sent from society. You only got to look at the marketing on the TV these days as to all of the subliminal messages that were actually sent through marketing, and a lot of those are not healthy. They're not helpful in any way. Like I could definitely go into big pharma and all that as well, and I'm not going to do that either. But it's about being really aware of, am I being an independent thinker, or am I buying into the story of either what I've believed from my past, from what I've been told? Am I actually, believing some of that stuff and buying into it? Or like, what do I actually really want to believe and want to think? And developing the skills of becoming an independent thinker and doing self-inquiry. Does this fit for me? Is this okay for me? Being able to discern some of that external feedback is so, so, so important, because if we're all internally validated, well, then we're not willing to receive any feedback. And if you have a deep fear of being wrong, or a deep fear of being shamed if you're wrong, or any of that stuff, I can promise you'll be like refuting that. Or if you have a deep fear of being insignificant if you're wrong, all of those things tie into the ability to be able to discern feedback. And discerning feedback could be, yeah, look, they've actually got a point. I was actually really short in that conversation, or you know what, I'm actually not being 100% present in my relationships. Yeah, I have been like really in my head. I have been really stressed out about stuff. Okay, what can I now do to be able to shift or change that in order to be more present or to have better relationships? Whereas if we're fully internally, we're like, no, you're full of rubbish, or that's not true, that didn't happen, I didn't do that. We're pushing back about that. Whereas if it's all about the external feedback, now we lose our footing within ourselves. We lose our own stability. If somebody's just having a bad day and are projecting their stuff on, because that's what we all do, is everybody's projecting everything. Hey Rod, great to have you on. Then from that place, now we're copying it from everybody else, where it's actually got nothing to do with us. And everybody makes, if somebody's having an event or something's going on, we all make it about ourselves. We're like, what did I do, or how, was that all my fault? That was another one of my stories. I'm responsible, it's all my fault, because that gives us a false illusion of control, because if it's all my fault, that's something I can do something about. Whereas as a child, if we're really scared and something's happening, or one of our parents is really stressed or upset, if we're feeling out of control from that situation, blaming ourselves is one of the quickest ways that can give us the illusion of control in a situation that we actually don't have control of. So going back to what I was saying before, sorry, I did kind of go on a big loop, but going back to what I was saying before, your authentic frequency. Now, you'll love this, guys, and it's fun, because the more that you practice this, hey Rob, lovely to have you on, darling, the more that you practice this, the better that you'll get at it, and the quicker you'll be able to return back to your authentic frequency. Now, your authentic frequency is like, for me, it's like, life is amazing. Oh my God, I feel so incredible. I feel playful. I feel joyful. I feel in flow. I feel like life is just going so well for me. I feel open-hearted. So my heart is open. My eyes are up. I'm greeting the world. I kind of feel like skipping or feeling a bit playful, or just being silly. All of that is actually my real authentic frequency. And when I am in that vibe, guys, I am so magnetic. And I'm not saying that from a place of ego or anything. You all have access to this for yourselves. This is when you are manifesting at a huge level. You can attract things so easily because you are in your authentic frequency and you're being your real self. You're just showing up. There's nothing to prove. There's nothing that you need to do in order to be enough. There's nothing that you need to do in order to be worthy. You are living from your heart, your soul, from who you actually really are. Now, when your energy dips, because we seem to have a limited capacity as humans to actually allow ourselves to feel really good. And I know that sounds crazy, but we've all got these thresholds. And, when life gets really, really bad, then we kick into gear and it's like, oh my God, I've got to shift this or I've got to change this. And everybody's threshold is different. Some people, it's got to be really, 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 really bad before they want to kick in. For other people, and this will all go back to our own personal standards, and self-love has a huge part to play with this. For other people, life only needs to get a little bit wobbly in one area and they're like, oh my God, I've got to shift this, I've got to change this. And just the same as we have a lower level threshold, we also have an upper level threshold. So if things are going too good in your life, you might be like, oh, something's got to go wrong, and you'll dip into the habit of worrying. You'll shift, your energy will drop. For me, when things get going too good, I drop into guilt and shame. It's like, oh my God, who am I to have this great life? Who am I to kind of live this incredible life? Who am I to be so happy when so many other people are having a challenging time in their life? Hey Jody, great to have you on. So that's, my upper limit. Gay Hendricks talks about this in The Big Leap, but it's really important to recognize, when are you in that authentic frequency, when you're just like, oh my God, this is so good, life is so good, and you're so present to the moment, you're living from a place of gratitude, you feel so blessed beyond imagining, and you feel so incredible. And some of those moments can happen just like really connecting with your kids, just looking at your kids and going, oh my God, I love them so much. It could be just walking in the sun and having that sunshine on your face. I'm obviously sharing, moments for me as well. Hey Zach, lovely to have you on. But all of those things help you to click into gear as to, yeah, that's my authentic frequency. That's me, just being me. If you have relationships, in some relationships, it's much easier to be our real self. You'll feel much more comfortable just showing up and just being you. Other relationships, you might still have some funky energy around. I'm still working on, hey Tadia, great to have you on, darling. Hey Deb, lovely to have you on too. In some of my relationships, I know for years I've had to do so much work because when I was around men, my frequency would shift and change because I felt like I couldn't be the real me. I felt like I needed their approval. And this can even be from a physical safety point of view. I would be so hooked into their energy, and I do this with other people as well. I can be so hooked into their energy that I can detect the subtlest of change and I adapt my behavior, I adapt my energy, or I adapt my tonality to suit then to rebalance the energies. Now, if you're really super sensitive, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, you will probably still be able to relate to this, I'm sure, because we all do this at some times. Like if you walk in, you've had an amazing day, but your partner's really upset, automatically we drop our energy to try and match, because otherwise it just feels weird and awkward for you to be in this like super high vibe place and for somebody else to be like really low. And that's why it doesn't feel good if we are in a really great place, and then often we'll blame the other person. Well, they need to be happier, or they should be happier, as opposed to come back, recenter ourselves, give love and compassion, because we can all feel awful at times, and be able to stay centered in our real authentic frequency. And that's the biggest challenge in relationships. And then, you know, sometimes if we've gone for something, or we've you know, fallen on our face, or we're in the business, or like in the process of creating a business, and you know, like, oh my god, it's the best self-development ever to start your own business. If you've ever done that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because it elicits so much fear, and particularly if it's a personal service as opposed to a product, because now you're putting yourself out there, and you know, that can elicit so many different fears, and that's when that inner critic is going to get super loud and super noisy. So the biggest thing to check, or the biggest thing to help recognize when your inner critic starts playing out, is your emotions, guys. Like if you don't feel like you, and I say that in jest, but like if you're in jealousy, that's not the real you. If you're angry, that's not the real you. You know that. Like it doesn't feel great. All of our emotions serve us because they're giving us a signal that, hey, something is off here. There's a belief, or there's a thought that I'm thinking, or there's something that's going on that's actually not okay for me. Let me shift and change that internally. If any of you really struggle, hey Katrina, great to have you on. I've never called you Katrina. And Katie Lou. So funny. I'm just kind of like reading that and then going, oh my god, it's Kate. So funny. Anyway, with our inner critic, like this voice kind of comes up. Hey Jamie, lovely to have you on as well. This voice comes up, and if it's negative, if it's beating you up, and like Erica was saying before as well, sometimes, you know, the hardest part is actually catching that and going, oh my god, I've just got that aspect coming up. But as you start to work with these energies, you'll start to notice, if I'm feeling anxiety, is that my inner child that's just feeling really scared or needs some reassurance? If I'm really rigid and stiff in my body and I'm like, go, gotta push, gotta drive, for me, that's my drill sergeant. So start to name these aspects of yourself, and then you can start to identify, these are just pro-survival aspects or identities that were created in one part of my life to try and help me, protect me, or keep me safe, or keep me fitting into the tribe, as opposed to the real me. One activity that could be really helpful for you, it was certainly helpful for me, because obviously our parents are our greatest influences, particularly from those first ages, from 0 to 7. Our siblings also can be, or grandparents if they had a significant role in your life, or whoever was your most significant caretaker at that time. And I used to write down, who do I need to be in order to be loved by mum? Who do I need to be in order to be loved by dad? And from this is where you can start to discern or decipher some of these identities or aspects. Oh my god, I can't be too loud, or I can't be too noisy, or I can't be too emotional, or you know, I have to be responsible, I have to be successful, I have to get it all right, I have to be neatly presented, like all of those things. And then I actually write down, hey Tam, great to have you on, darling. Then I will write down, you know, who do I need to be in order for me to be happy, or in order for me to feel like the real me? Such a great quality question, guys, because then you can start to ascertain, oh my god. And for me, it was being magical. Like, who would have guessed? Like, just like feeling the magic of life, being playful and magical. They're just like, for me, oh my god, life just becomes such a gift when I'm like living into that space. And I can feel, I actually have goosebumps saying that, because I can feel that it's the real me. So start to, I guess, like get clear. When have there been times in your life when you felt like you've actually really just been present and been you? And I think, you know, sometimes we can think that alcohol like allows us to lose our inhibitions a little bit, or any of that stuff. It may help. I'm certainly not condoning alcohol or the use of alcohol. I haven't drank for years, simply because I really wanted to do this from a genuine perspective, and I think alcohol really can probably cover over a lot of the deeper feelings that we're actually experiencing, which is actually blocking us from being able to access the real self as well. So I truly, and thank you, Erica, I truly hope that this has been helpful for you guys. So if there's like a couple of main points to take out of this, it's know that your inner critic, those voices in your head that are being nasty or that are beating you up, they are not the real you. They were developed at a time in your life as a pro-survival. We do not create against ourselves, even though it may not be helpful in this moment. Good morning, Sue. Even though it mightn't be helpful in this moment, it will definitely be, sorry, I've obviously got some stuff around that still to clear up. It definitely won't be the real you, like the real genuine frequency of you. It'll just be these aspects that are trying to keep you safe or trying to have you be a particular way. So notice the drops in energy, guys. You might feel, for me, I know for a long time I used to get this flash of anger in my belly, and that was when I was starting to drop into resentment or anger because I'd overgiven, or I wasn't setting clear boundaries with others, which was not helpful either. So like, notice the drop in energy. Take time to get clear, what is my authentic frequency, and practice being in that authentic frequency. Look for it, find it, feel it, and then start to, because the more that you do that, the more you're going to be able to access that and go, oh, I'm not being in my real self. Hang on, what does that feel like again? Oh, and you might even have a specific memory that can help you to stimulate that, or to bring that to the forefront of your mind, or to, I guess, give you some guidance around what that feeling actually feels like. And the more that you can step into that, then the more powerful that's going to be for yourself as well. Hey Mal, lovely to have you on. When we are all within our proper frequencies, and when I say proper frequencies, it's not that there's a wrong frequency or anything else. When we're all living from that authentic space, life really does get so much easier, guys. And if you've struggled in this particular area, and given away your power through, needing to please, or needing to be the good girl, or not speaking up, or not wanting to rock the boat. I think that we do this so much with money and relationships. For me personally, like, that's where it's played out the most. And that's because this relates to the second chakra, which is a sacral chakra. And it's all about, the first chakra is like a base level security. Second level chakra is our relationships. And relationship really comes back to firstly, our relationship to self. And everything is projected there. So if you're listening to that inner critic, and you're buying into the rubbish that it tells us in our minds, about you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not deserving, of course you're going to give away your power in money and relationships as well. So if that's something that really resonates for you, I'll be running a webinar on that on the 15th of August. I'll pop the details below. You just jump on, register to jump into the webinar. It's at 12:30. It's going to be super, super powerful, guys. I'm going to be talking about all sorts of things, why women really end up with a lot of either uterus, cervical, or ovary issues, cysts on ovaries, endometriosis, all of that stuff, because a lot of this is also playing into our creative energy and our ability to just naturally be ourselves within the world. So really, really powerful. Hey Sheila, lovely to have you on. Hey Ash. So if that resonates for you, like I said, I'll pop the link below so you guys can jump in and register. If you're registered, you'll be able to get the replay afterwards, which will be really great. So even if you can't jump onto the webinar at the time, feel free to do that. But so important, guys. Like, find that authentic frequency, lean into it, figure out, when have I been most joyous in my life? When have I felt like absolutely like that real like what I spoke about before? For me, that's mine. Hey Jen, lovely to have you on. It's finding that authentic frequency and then getting good at catching yourself and get curious. Don't judge yourself. Like, if you're judging yourself for not being in that frequency, that's just another aspect of you judging you. So, we have all of these conflicting parts. I need to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm too tired to go to the gym. Oh, but you should go to the gym. I'm just using that as one thing. They're all those different aspects of yourself. And when they're conflicted, it's very difficult. If you think, you've got got one part of you pulling on your left arm, one part of you pulling on your right arm, one pulling on the left leg, one pulling on the right leg. How difficult is it to move forward from that place when we have so many inner voices and so many inner conflicts going on? I sometimes, this might sound a bit crazy, I have a lot of dialogue, as you can probably tell, with all of my inner aspects, because when they all feel content, when they all feel loved, when they all feel heard, then we can all kind of move together in a very aligned way. And I think in the truest sense, that is what alignment is. And it's when all of those aspects of ourselves come together for the most elevated purpose of our life, which is truly our life purpose, which is to be loved, to live life, to enjoy life, and then to be able to share that gift with others once you've learned how to overcome that internal suffering that can sometimes go on from the voices of our inner critic as well. Hey Shan, lovely to have you on. Hey Yam, lovely to have you on. So if you've just jumped on, you might want to jump back, watch the replay. But the biggest nuggets: authentic frequency, discerning the inner critic, knowing when that's actually happening from your energy dropping, and being able to shift back into your authentic frequency. I teach so many different things around this using the Byron Katie work, but jump into the webinar if that resonates for you. If you feel like you've been disowning your power or giving your power away, or just feeling that drop in energy, like that drop in energy, that's your power, guys. Like it's, if you're feeling tired, exhausted as a woman, that's, you're not in your full power. It's when our physical body feels amazing and incredible, when we're fully owning ourselves, when we're fully owning that power, and really stepping into that authentic frequency as well. It's when we feel our absolute best. Hey Sue, lovely to have you on. Lots of love to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope that has been helpful. If anybody's got comments or questions, or this has been super helpful for you, please feel free to love and share it as much as you like, because I think it's part of that responsibility as well. Like once we've learnt this stuff for ourselves, is to pass this on to others that we love. Let's all elevate, let's all ascend our energy, let's all increase our energy, because when we do that, when we feel more loving towards ourselves, we are naturally kinder and more compassionate with others, and it will just make such a difference to humanity on such a huge level as well. So much love, have an incredible day, and so much gratitude. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye.